Crypto. It's a tough industry. Can you imagine you announce the formation of a US strategic crypto reserve? It's going to lift the whole industry, legitimize everything. And the next thing is everyone within crypto is fighting, hate going in all directions. The president double crossed us. XRP is a scam. Bitcoin should be the only, asset in that reserve. It's crazy town, but that's the way this game has always been. And we probably got a little ways before we get out of this. Now, if you are new to XRP, you may find it strange that the community is so siloed, so kind of tucked over in the corner against everyone else. But this isn't new. This was every day in 2017, 2018, when the whole world back then was proof of work. Everyone, just all day long. Ripple's a scam. XRP is garbage. All this stuff, and now you see that filling your news feed on X, but that was the norm back then. And so I think kind of in that environment, you've seen this community just silo itself. It's us against the world. And then you had the US government coming after us, all of this kind of stuff. Just kind of the way it's been. But I'll tell you this, if you are an investor and you haven't had long-term exposure where you're just holding Bitcoin over a long horizon, you're probably underperforming. You're not making as much gains as you could. If you are Bitcoin only and you're not taking advantage of these periods of high growth, explosive growth and adoption, well, you're probably also underperforming, even though you've done quite well. Do what's best as an investor and then go on X and have these battles and fight over the theology and what the future will look like. But that doesn't mean it should bleed over into your investing. Do what is proven to be successful over a long period of time, because ultimately Bitcoin doesn't care about you. XRP Ledger, it don't care about you. It's just software. And these figureheads that pop up, and circle around these blockchains, they don't matter. They'll come and go. They have opinions, but it's about the future we are building, and that's what we're really investing in. I thought this was interesting. We see from Stuart Alderati. He says crypto today is kind of like the internet in 1996 when it was getting ready to blow up. And so a lot of people ask me, is cryptocurrencies, are we going to stop seeing these vicious cycles? And anything is possible, of course. At some point in time, we will take off and you're not going to see so much volatility. But if we're somewhere like 1996 and we're just starting to see real companies jump in here and build out businesses, people are going to try a lot of things. Some of them will work out. Many of them will blow up. So we probably have an awful lot of volatility in front of us. We are just starting here. Unless, all these companies are ready to rock and roll and they all work from day one and scale to infinity, it's probably going to still be pretty turbulent as we go forward. And you have a lot of this type of environment ahead of us. We'll see how it plays out, but I would expect we have not seen our last, major and vicious boom and bust cycle. Only time will tell. Let me know down below what you think, though. Is the volatility over? Is it only up from here? Interesting chart here. We see every bull market has topped within 330 days of breaking the previous cycle's all-time high with Bitcoin. We are now at 315 days since breaking the 2021 cycle top. And so this is a very strange cycle because we had a new all-time high pre-halvening very early in this cycle. Does that mean we're almost at the end? I don't think so. I mean, it would look nothing like any cycle before. A lot of your altcoins have not even run yet, including Ethereum. It's kind of waffling about. I just think this is going to be different. And metrics like this just ain't going to work. But time will tell. Again, it has been a strange one for sure. I just think it'll be different. And I think that that metric is just nonsensical any longer. Rob Bart saying the following: ask yourself, did XRP rally break out of a 7-year triangle, make new highs on several different exchanges just to stop here? And that's what I'm talking about. This sure doesn't feel like the end at all. It just feels like we are just getting going. That's the way I think it'll happen. But he also tells us this: Moon Boys near the top will always say we'll never crash again. This time is different. Adoption is finally here. And then on the flip side of the coin, you have the Doom Boys that near the bottom, they always say we're going to zero. We will never breach all-time highs. This time is different. The greatest financial crisis of all time is upon us. We always hear these narratives and neither one is right. So just remember, as you start getting life-changing gains, you see massive, appreciation in your portfolios, instead of screenshotting it and dunking on people on X, maybe think about pulling a little bit of money off the table, just being smart here. We're seeing a lot of arguments about this made in America crypto stuff and possible 0% capital gains tax on those assets. There's been a lot of rumors that this is very real. I find it hard to believe that the government's going to leave that kind of money on the table. Then again, it would fuel a lot of adoption and growth in the space. We'll have to see. We see Chad here saying 30% tax on Bitcoin. Ugh, that's going to leave a mark. I wouldn't think that Bitcoin would be excluded from that, and I'll tell you why. We see these charts here. First of all, breakdown of who has the most Bitcoin. United States #1. When you look at mining facilities, United States is the #1 miner. Most of our crypto infrastructure, from exchanges to BlackRock, Fidelity, it's all built around Bitcoin. So if you want to have a rockin' US crypto industry and see lots of growth and lots of adoption, you're probably going to throw Bitcoin in there, even though it wasn't quote unquote built necessarily by an American company or something like that. I don't think it matters. Most important metrics are dominated by the United States. And so I think it'll be put in there in that list if it happens. And it's kind of a silly argument because at this point in time, there's nothing official. We'll see it play out. I mean, it's always possible it's left on the outside. Maybe it doesn't need those tax breaks and they incentivize your XRPs to grow better and your XLMs and your H bars. Definitely possible. But I expect if it does happen, Bitcoin will be in there. BlackRock bought $1 billion of Bitcoin this week. Another reason why probably Bitcoin gets in that list. BlackRock has an awful lot of business with Bitcoin, and they usually get what is good for them long term. We see they now hold 2.7% of the total Bitcoin supply. This is troublesome to a lot of people. As these assets become valuable, guess what? Rich and powerful people will accumulate them and hold them for the very long term. This is just normal. This will happen with other cryptos as well. As they start reaching scale and adoption, you're going to see your rich and powerful have tons of the XRP and Ethereum and Cardano, whatever, coins end up ultimately being the most successful. This same thing will just continue to happen and nation states will acquire it. And this is just the regular cycles of life. But that doesn't mean just because people hold a lot of the crypto that the regular folk can't still leverage that technology for a freer society, for a freer financial system. And that's kind of the Trojan horse of it. The system can't ignore the value they're going to earn there. And because of that, they have to adopt this, they have to accept this. And then we get all the freedoms that come along with blockchain technology. We see right here this interview. Michael Saylor's a little bit uncomfortable. Why? Because he's got too much leverage? Oh, no. He thinks that they're getting a little too deleveraged, and he's getting ready to crank up the leverage here a little bit to spur growth. This is going to be a wild time. Again, I've said it before. I like Michael Saylor. I love Bitcoin, but I think he's going to get on the wrong side of this at some point in time, using lots of leverage on a highly volatile asset. I know people tell me, oh, you don't understand the structure of what he's doing. We'll see. But this could be a big one. And, Raul Paul's talked about this. Even if MicroStrategies itself doesn't go busto, because of the way they're using leverage, it can cause a downstream effect to a lot of investors. We saw with Grayscale, as he discusses, where Grayscale didn't go bust, but its problems created downstream effects for Three Arrows Capital and all sorts of other people. This can still have a major effect. Interesting cryptos are, David Sachs says NFTs and meme coins are collectibles, not securities. Now, he's not a regulator, but he is the crypto czar. He'll be forming policy. And it's not surprising. Again, we just had the president launch his own meme coin. So I doubt they're going to go after meme coins as securities violations. Just my spidey senses here. With all this FUD going around about XRP, David Schwartz jumped in here, says, for the 400th time, for those that don't understand what validators do, he's going to explain it to us. XRP Ledger has a consensus algorithm that actually reaches agreed consensus. Every 5 seconds, every node participates in a process to decide how to resolve the double spend problem for XRP Ledger transactions. So these validators, they're not really for voting. They're not for governance. They're not for any of this stuff we usually carry on about. And this is what I would say. He's right, and it still leaves a big problem. The only company of note that has any money, if something wants to get done, it's going to go through Ripple, not because they're going to have nefarious power over the network. It's because no one else has the funds to make it happen. When you look at Wind, he can't make hooks on the XRP Ledger happen without the money, which would have to come from Ripple. There just is no contemporaries on this network, but we may get there. Again, we are seeing possibly Bitstamp and Robinhood launch a derivative exchange on this network. We are having First Ledger being the first app to really be profitable and make a lot of money. And so the more builders and applications we get on here that have success, now we will start to see participants on the XRP Ledger that have a large amount of money that can get things done on their own accord. And it's not so much just on Ripple. That's what we need to see. It's not, again, even that Ripple is trying to dominate. It's just they have all the money. Everyone else is a bunch of peasants. We need to have people hit scale, have success, and have a lot of money of their own. So you have a more diverse amount of people with, funding into this ecosystem. That's really the key forward. And it's looking like it might come together. We'll see. We see Justin Sun saying Coinbase's listing process for Tron, one of the world's top 10 cryptocurrencies, and it has been under review for 7 years. So Tron's not getting put onto Coinbase. During this period, TRX hit new all-time highs. U.S. president, that was surprising. His company bought some TRX, is buying TRX, and a TRX ETF is nearing approval. Will Coinbase ultimately list TRX after it debuts on the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, or will it never list it? This is a deal. I'm no big Tron fan. I do recognize that they have a lot of real-world utility. A lot of people use stablecoins on that network. It has a lot of real adoption. But, there's no clear framework here for approval. We've seen that even with XRP. 2017, we couldn't get listed on Coinbase. Why? Is it because it's competitive to some of their other options, or is it something to do with Justin Sun? And they list all sorts of nonsense on their exchange. So, TRX probably should be on there, but we really need regulations here because you have these gatekeepers, these exchanges that gets to decide to a great extent who's successful, who gets listed, who has liquidity, because they are trading against, the industry and their own customers at times. And that's not great. It's not a great environment long term. So I think new regulations will help this. So we have a clear framework for what should be trading on exchanges and what stuff maybe just needs to stay on decentralized exchanges where it's a free-for-all. But definitely topics we need to go over as new frameworks will start to roll out. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.